over a decade ago, I was making a documentary film. I had footage from my trip back to Vietnam of 2002, and I was trying to splice it together and to take 22 hours of video and condense it down to an hour documentary. And I had a friend who was a Vietnam vet and who recorded several CDs, music, and had some skills of putting together film as well. Lived in Southern California. And he invited me down to give me a hand. He told me to bring the videos down with me, and we transferred them over to DVDs, and we were set to do this. That was the premise for me going to visit him. And he lived in near the beach in Venice, California. And his house was just a couple blocks from the water, and it was a beautiful place. And we talked, and we talked about the video. But I knew when I went down there, it wasn't down there to put together this video. And I told him, I says, whether we finish this video or not, it's not important. I know I'm supposed to be here for a reason, and so I'm here. And it must be for you or for me or something, or maybe both. So we talked late that night, and he showed me his spare room, which was right, at the back of the house. And it had a king-size bed in it and a sliding glass double window out to the backyard. And the window was open with the screen door closed, and that way you could get the ocean breeze coming in from the Pacific Ocean, and it was very comfortable. And I chose to leave the door open. Even in that neighborhood, anybody could have just opened up the screen door and walked in. It didn't concern me. So I went to sleep fairly quickly, and I went into one of what I call one of those death spiral sleeps. It's kind of like a death coma sleep. You just, boom, no dreams, nothing, just darkness, and then you wake up. So I get those periodically, and this was one of those nights I had one of those dreams. I went to bed, though. There was a couple of problems that were bothering me. I had just experienced about 4 people over the last 6 weeks before this tell me that I had been visiting them at night, giving them advice, or in one case I saved somebody's life, stopped them from a suicide. Somebody else I got them sober. Somebody else I gave them advice. And so I kept running into these people, and I kept thinking, my gosh, everybody's crazy. And I was on a radio talk show in Chicago, and I was talking about that, and then the host, she goes, no, that's not crazy. Yeah, you visited me last night as well. So I was beginning to think that the whole world was a lot of people with great imaginations, because they were accusing me of being someplace and doing something when I had absolutely no memory, no recollection, or indication that I had visited them in any form. So that was the questions I was struggling with, and I'd been struggling with it for a while because it was starting to get repetitive. More and more people kept coming forward. I'd meet some homeless person, and they would tell me that they dreamt about me 10 years or 20 years before. It's like, what? So at this point in time, I just chose to take those thoughts and put them away and just go to sleep. So I'm sleeping on this king-size bed, and at 3 o'clock in the morning, wide awake, I jump up from the bed, and I'm staring at the sliding glass door that's open. On the other side of the screen door, there's a shadow appears to be a man, medium-sized man, about my size. I'm looking at this shadow, and normal reaction, looking back upon this, normal reaction in a neighborhood like Venice Beach. There's some druggie, there's a burglar, there's a bad guy, there's somebody there outside, and you should be concerned, and you should be, getting ready to engage in combat or something. But waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, I just stared at it and was like, there's something familiar about this. There was no thoughts of hostility. There was no fear. There was no apprehension. a normal, intelligent person would have been apprehensive. A normal, intelligent, I emphasize intelligent. But there I was, staring at this shadow figure at the screen door. And then all of a sudden the screen door opens and this shadow figure walks in. And I can't really see the features because it's all dark, it's like a shadow. But I don't feel uncomfortable. And the only thought that occurred to me was, perhaps this is my friend I'm staying with. Maybe him and his wife got into a spat of some kind and she kicked him out and he's come around the back of the house and he's going to sleep there. So I'm going, okay, this is strange, but no fear. I mean, it's not like a normal thing that was going to happen. So there I am. I throw back the covers on the other side of the bed and I scoot all the way over the edge of the bed, of the king size bed, and I throw a pillow over there like, hey, and I said something like, hey, you sleep over there. And I rolled with my back to the other side of the bed. And then I felt the bed go boom, somebody sit down in the bed. And then I felt this movement on the bed, boom, 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 coming towards my back. And then I'm going, what? And next thing you know, there's a collision between my spinal cord and this shadow man. It was like, boom. And there's like lightning in my spine, and there's like flashing lights, and there's like rainbows, and there's like energy and crazy stuff. It was like somebody electrocuted me. And then nothing. And I laid there pondering what happened. And then, like an unnormal person, I just go, okay. And I went back to sleep. But there was nobody there. So I got up in the morning and I tried to tell my friend about it. And as I'm telling him, I'm starting to have these questions like, who was this guy? What was this guy? And then I remembered what questions I went to bed with that night. The questions I went to bed that very night were, how can I be accused of visiting all these people and helping all these people and being this do-gooder at night when I'm sleeping, dead asleep? And here I have this situation where this shadow figure comes back about my height, about my weight, I don't know what the face looked like, but it emerged into my spine in the early morning hours. And I was never fearful, never even questioning, totally trusting. My behavior in this whole thing was totally bizarre. Anybody analyze it would think, what, what's going on? But so I talked to him and I told him, and of course he looked at me kind of like, yeah, okay, fine. But I thought about it and I thought, well, the only way this could have happened with no fear and all the circumstances was if that shadow body was actually another part of me. How, when, why, how could something like this happen? I don't know. I don't understand it. But apparently there's a part of me at some level, an energy part of me that goes out and visits these people and helps them. Now, I still don't have any memory recollection of that, and I really can't state that other than what people tell me. And I've had over 100 people tell me that I visited them and helped them and saved their lives. And so it's conceivable. Maybe something's going on. I don't know the answers to it, but I suspect. Anyway, so we're sitting at the table, and I decide to give him a gift of advice. I just start talking about his father and his family, and I tell him, hey, these are the things you need to look at. And I spent about a half hour going over point by point of things I felt that he needed to know on his relationships with his father and his family. And then he decides, hey, you want to go to a meditation service. There's one over at Self-Realization Fellowship over by Pacific Palisades at their Lake Shrine, church there. So we went. And the monk that was giving the lecture that day, and apparently was like off the cuff, he was just talking, he actually uttered my exact advice that I've spent the morning giving my friends. So everything he said was like an echo of what I said, almost word for word. And my friend looks at me and says, did you know this is what the guy was going to say? And I go, nope, and it was your idea to come to the church. And it wasn't written and it wasn't prepared. And this monk just rolled it out. And so we left there. My friend thanked me, and actually the advice was pretty good, and he followed it. And I drove on home, and I kept thinking, who was that shadow man? And the only thing I can come away with is apparently there's an energy part of me or another spirit or something within me that goes out to even total strangers. In fact, mostly total strangers, and helps them. And the only evidence I have is other than having this shadow body go back into my spine are the personal stories from people, how I stopped their suicide or I got them sober or whatever. And all these years I've been writing these people off as crazy and delusional and wannabes, wanting to believe and all that kind of stuff. But looking back on it, they had no reason ever to tell me these things. There was nothing to be gained. Some of them just met me for the first time and told me stuff. So I leave that to those that listen to the story. What could it be? I make no claims other than this is what happened and this is what these people say. And does it connect? There's a part of me intuitively says somehow there's a connection because I went to bed with the intentions of trying to figure out that relationship. And that's what happened that early morning hour at 3 o'clock. It is what it is. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe all these people that tell me these things are crazy. But it happened, and I stand by it.